Hello everybody, welcome back to ClearSurf Financial Education. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about stock market, of course, is breaking out to new all-time highs. And there's going to be some momentum behind it. So it's probably some short-term pullback. We've gone up 7 consecutive days on the S&P. So I would expect actually a couple of days of pullback here. But also wanted to get into a little bit about the proposal that Biden has out there for infrastructure. So if you haven't read anything about this, you need to go out and read up on this, because at this point in time, I don't care who you voted for, you have to realize if you look at these proposals, you look at these bills, the ones that were just passed, and also this new proposal of infrastructure, like basically $2 trillion I'm looking at here this decade. I mean, the numbers are just out of this world. I mean, yes, I think we need to make improvements. There's been roads that have been let go for quite a while. We do need to spend money in infrastructure, but I think at the level they're trying to do it right now, it seems like really Joe Biden did not keep his word. And his word was, when 80 million people didn't vote for him, he said he heard both sides and he was going to be fair about it. And instead, what he's done is stop the Keystone Pipeline, which drove up oil prices. Now, I'm just going to read a little bit of this to you, because I think if you want to educate yourself, you need to go out there and just read this proposal. So it talks about a lot more than infrastructure. This is basically the new Green Deal slammed into the infrastructure spending, whether you realize it or not. So on infrastructure alone, I'm going to be looking at my screen a little bit, so excuse me for that, but I want you to understand and here's some of these numbers. $115 billion to modernize bridges, highways, roads, and main streets. $20 billion to improve road safety, $85 billion to modernize existing transit systems, $80 billion to address Amtrak repair backlog, $174 billion to invest in electrical vehicle market, $25 billion in airports, $17 billion in waterways. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. Then we get into $111 billion to replace 100% of the nation's lead pipes, $100 billion to build high-speed broadband infrastructure to reach 100% of the population, $213 billion to produce, preserve, and retrofit more than 2 million affordable and sustainable places to live. So $2 billion for housing, $100 billion to upgrade and improve public schools, $12 billion for community college, $25 billion for daycare facilities. I mean, I'm not joking, but you got to go out there and read this. You got to read this. $400 billion expanding affordable, quality, or community-based home for aging people or people with disabilities. $180 billion for R&D for infrastructure, technology infrastructure. $300 billion for strengthening manufacturing supply chains. Not a bad idea, because we found out when we couldn't get enough protective gear, because it was all coming from China, which they were hoarding at the time when this pandemic broke out. So that's probably more along the lines of national security. Another $100 billion for proven workforce development programs. I mean, this, and then it goes on to list things for another page that don't even have a price tag. So this basically is saying we're going to move away from fossil fuels. We're going to go as much green as they can slam down everyone's throat, regardless of the price tag. And I keep bringing up the price tag because, $2 trillion, we're already at the point now where the auctions have been going okay. So if you're not familiar with it, how this government pays retirees Social Security is they put bonds out for bid, and other countries buy these bonds. So China is the largest holder of our debt, followed by Japan. So if China and Japan stop buying all of our bonds because our infrastructure needs are way too high, then there won't be enough money to pay Social Security, because they've already liquidated the fund. Social Security will be basically bankrupt here before I get a chance to pull any money from it, and I'm not even 52 yet. So that program's already basically bankrupt, but we're not talking about shoring up Social Security for people who have paid into it their entire lives who are pulling on it now. Or me, I paid into it my entire life, haven't taken a dime out of it yet. So we're not talking about ensuring Social Security for those that paid their whole life into it. We're talking about basically rebuilding the country. You heard me say it. From water pipes, infrastructure, high-speed internet, transportation. I mean, basically, this is a Democratic wish list of a lifetime. And I've heard it said many times, never let a crisis go to waste. And I can tell you what, Joe Biden and his administration are not letting this crisis go to waste. They've got the numbers right now by the VP, by a single vote in the Senate, and they've got the White House. And basically, if you've got children and grandchildren, you should be scared as hell right now, honestly, because they will not have the lifestyle you have, I can promise you that. If half of this stuff gets approved, they will never have the lifestyle you did. Every generation is going to have it harder, and somehow people think this is a great thing, that we're going to kind of stay ahead of China and got to keep growing, and there's a way to do that, but if you do it by borrowing money, because we're borrowing $2 trillion for this plan. We don't have the money. If we had the money, we'd pay back Social Security fund. So we don't have the money to pay back Social Security fund. So this money is coming from borrowed. It's coming from your future earnings. It's coming from your kids and grandkids' future earnings. So if you don't understand that, you don't need to take an economics class. You don't have to have a degree in finance or accounting. Just read it and do the math. They're sending out checks now. The average family has gotten checks from anywhere from single people from $5,000 to $10,000, depending on how many kids you have. There's 3 checks that have gone out. So I know from doing taxes, when people come up short and they owe money, they always wait till the last minute to pay that tax, where they say, what can we do? I don't have the money. They don't have the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 to pay the IRS when they owe money. So how long do you think it's going to take to get this money back? It was just pushed out to keep their economy afloat. And oh, and by the way, half the states in the country held this economy shut longer than they needed to, because I live in Florida, and I was just out this weekend with a buddy of mine 2 hours north, and there's no masks up there, and there's no problems up there. Everything's wide open, economy's booming. Our economy down here in southern Florida is doing much better in Palm Beach County as well too. We never went through the terror and the abuse that they put people through in these blue states. But you know, it's just shocking to me that people just don't see. I don't care what your affiliation. I'm not talking as a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. I'm talking as a citizen. How do you think this money is going to get paid back? All has to happen is some of these foreign countries to say, man, we'd rather not buy your debt at these ridiculously low rates that you're offering. I mean, face it, we're printing money right now, and we're doing it very cheap. If the government was smart, yeah, they'd do some big plans now, because rates have to go up. But to try to slam through $2 trillion in infrastructure after we've already spent trillions on keeping the economy afloat, because they crushed the economy by keeping it closed for a year, wow, it just blows my mind away. It just blows me away. When I read these things, I think to myself, is it any wonder the stock market keeps going up? For retirees, it's good, because you can't put your money in a CD, you can't put it in a bond. I mean, bonds are only used right now just to give you that what-if scenario. If the market dips like it did a year ago, went down 38%, I'm expecting a pullback here sometime soon, just because we've gone up so much since that last pullback, which was a year ago. So it's gone straight up since then. So we're due for a correction then. But you think about it, where else can you go? Money is so cheap. Bitcoin in the last 4 months has gone from what, 20 to 60. You've got people buying digital artwork. You've got almost anything you can think of is at all-time highs right now. And it's because there's so much money sloshing around, yet the government thinks a good idea would be to print more money. It's going to create inflation eventually. It has to. There's been no time in the history of the planet in a civilized world that you can keep printing money for years on end without inflation coming in, because eventually people get carried away, just like down here in South Florida back in 2007, 2008. People were buying homes and paying cash before construction even started, because they knew by the time it was finished, they could get more than they paid for it, because the supply and demand issue was so out of balance. And now we have that again, because I know for a fact, watching tax returns come through the office, that when people move nowadays, interest rates are so low, and anybody can get a loan pretty much. Well, I shouldn't say anybody, you still need decent credit, but most people, when they move, they keep the old house for at least a couple of years as a rental property, and then they go on and buy another house because they can afford it. Rates are cheap. So that's causing a supply issue, which is inflating house prices. So right now, if you don't see this, that these kind of projects are just going to keep inflating the prices of everything. I know food is up. I see it in our budget. I see food is up, gas is up, Everything is going up. I mentioned on prior videos that they say now the average new home, it costs $25,000 more just in lumber. So lumber costs are up. We have a shortage in chip stocks. These car manufacturers like Ford are shutting down the manufacture of Ford trucks for days on end because they don't have enough chips to put in the cars to produce them. So it's pretty scary to think that this just keeps on going the way it is. But anyway, that's enough for my rant today. But please educate yourself. Go out there, Google it, look what's in this plan, read it. It'll take you 15 minutes and see if you agree with all the spending. And then do your own math. Do your math that think about what you make in 1 year. And if you thought that borrowing maybe, 10 times or 20 times that and trying to spend that in the next couple years is a good idea, where do you think your credit will be? Or you think you'll be in a better position a couple years from now by doing that? I doubt it. And that's what the government's trying to do. So for now, I'll leave it there. Until next time, Carl Keister, ClearSurf Financial Education. Take care.